All right, so today we're going to cover connecting Get Signals with Smartlead to execute cold email from contacts that you export from your signals. So to begin, we're going to navigate over to our integrations view. I already have Smartlead configured, so I'm just going to quickly show you what this looks like just so you're aware. All you need to do is generate your API key from Smartlead, and you can do that in Smartlead under your account settings under the API heading or column. Once you have your API key, just copy it, paste it into our API authentication input here, click connect. It'll run through, validate, and once it validates, what you'll do is you'll get a confirmation message. It'll just give you a count of how many active campaigns that it sees, our integration sees in your account, and then it's going to actually bring up field mapping and settings and make these tabs active. So the first thing I want to talk about is field mapping. So there's about 65 to 70 insight data fields that we extract from profile, social profiles, personal social profiles rather, and then also from a company or accounts profile as well. And then we put all those into a singular contact record within your account. So you have a lot of options on data that you can push over to Smartlead that may be relevant for your outbound. We handle the basics, the name, email address, phone, company, all these core fields. We do the mapping automatically. And then the rest, these you can, enable if you want to. And basically you toggle on a custom field, and then you just enter the name that you want to call the custom property when it reaches Smartlead. So probably a more common use case would be the custom properties option. And custom properties are created by AI agents. So if you have an AI agent that is reading through a contact's profile to create an icebreaker or a one-liner or a customized subject line based on their profile or the content of their post or who they engaged with, all of these things that AI agents can do, then you may want to map that over as an icebreaker or again an email subject line, things like this that you can then use as a personalization tag within Smartlead. In addition, we have some global settings. So these are these top three are just for Smartlead. So these are parameters that we can send along with your request whenever we push contacts into a campaign. And then the verified email only is for us, and that basically adds a check. So whether you're using our built-in email finder, if you're connecting something like Prospeo or Lead Magic or Lead Forward as an email finder, or if you're using all of them to find an email address in a waterfall approach, if we don't find a verified email, which means it could be either not found, which we're not going to push it to Smartlead anyway because an email address is required. But if it's risky, so maybe it's catch-all, or it's basically a mailbox that we can't with a fair amount of certainty say is valid, then that comes back risky. So we'll skip those. So only the most accurate contacts with email addresses would be pushed over to your campaign. So once you are done configuring this, just click Save Changes, or Save Configuration rather. And now I want to cover the three entry points for connecting or using Smartlead with Get Signals in terms of how you can push data into your campaigns or push contacts in your campaigns. And the first is signals. So let me get to a good example. We have Smartlead. Yeah, we have Smartlead here. Here's one. Okay, so this is a signal that's already put together and has run. But what I want to show you is the configuration view. So in this signal, what we're actually doing is, you can see we had Woodpecker enabled here. That's another video. So if you use Woodpecker and you don't use Smartlead, check out the video library because we cover Woodpecker as well. But in this signal, I'm looking for folks that are talking about and posting about cold email, and I'm exporting those post authors as contacts, and I'm running them through waterfall email enrichment, starting with Lead Magic, going through Prospeo, and then our system wide Get Signals email finder. And basically, just really quick on this too, with the waterfall, it's basically it keeps going until it finds a verified email, if it does. So you get the benefit of using multiple providers instead of just one. And now, as you scroll down, you start seeing now we're into our integration card. So these are all the connected integrations we have, and here we have Smartlead enabled. And then the campaign that we're going to be pushing our contacts through that we export. So basically the way that it happens is as we find posts within the signal, we are exporting those authors, we're enriching them, we're pulling in all their profile data, we're creating them as a contact in the contacts database within my Get Signals account. And then as we do that, then we're then running it through the waterfall email finder. Anyone that goes through the waterfall email finder that we find a verified email through then gets processed by our integration system and then pushes that contact to Smartlead. So anyone that comes in to the signal, or any contact rather, that we export and enrich, find a verified email for, they're going to end up in this campaign that we select. So this is entry point number one, or integration point number one. The next is actually through the contact manager, and with this approach, you can manually select one or many contacts. You can, build out a custom list in your contact view, filtering by, signal, any of the profile information that we export and enrich with. You can easily, save those as custom views that you can access in the future anytime. But if you want to have a more granular review process before you push anyone into your campaigns and, get a better feel for the profile, the fit, all of that good stuff, you can do that here. It's also a good way to just get a sense of how the integration works before you start automatically, pushing contacts into any of our integrations, whether it's Smartlead or another. So from this view, if we were filtering down and we were trying to find some specific folks, all you do is, select, like I said, you could select one, you can select, many. And then you just go over to exports, we'd select Smartlead, our campaigns load, we select the campaign that we want, sync over, and, then it runs through. So that's that approach. And then also, if any time you want to see, any of the contacts that you've ever, pushed over to Smartlead, you can always filter, by any of the, integrations as well. And we'll pull up and you can see the history. So, Josh here was sent over a few hours ago. So again, shows you the campaign name, the campaign ID, and just gives you kind of like a rolling history of that particular contact. And I mean, you can always get more of the granular information as well from the profile sheet as well. So that's entry point or integration point number two, manually through the contact manager. And the third and probably the most granular, while also combining the benefits of automation, would be using an AI agent. So if I look at, I have this example AI agent that I created, Waterfall Me to Success, and it's designed to go through a profile, a LinkedIn profile, a contact that we export, and just identify if they're a fit for our ICP or they're not. And then if they are, then the AI agent is configured to do a bunch of follow-up actions. So in my signal, what I can do is, instead of wasting email finder credits on folks that may not be part of my ICP, I have the AI agent first determine if they're part of if they are a good fit for, Get Signals, for example. And if they are, if the AI agent determines that based on the profile, based on the company profile, this is a good fit for someone that you should potentially engage, it returns a yes, and then we start kicking off certain actions. So only at this point will I then spend the credits on the email finder to find an email address, right? And then after that, you can go through, a whole slew of different touch points that you can add. So in this case, this is obviously just for testing purposes. So we have a bunch of integrations. But if you wanted to go multi-channel, right? So if you're using like a HeyReach or a AimFox, you could also, basically just push folks into those while also sending them to Smartlead for email outreach as well. But here we have condition number 3. And these conditions are actioned one by one. If you haven't already watched our AI agent training or demo video, check it out, because I go into all this in much more detail. But in this particular case, if the AI agent says yes, it's an ICP fit, then we're going to enroll it to this Get Signals 101 campaign automatically. So this is all completely hands-free. You're not touching any of this. The AI agent is reading all the new contacts that are coming in. And, again, it's going through all the data, going through the profile. It's saying yes or no. If yes, then it's going through all these conditional steps and all these follow-up actions. So this is entry point or integration point number 3. This is probably the more popular approach, again, because it does blend together being granular and not necessarily casting a wide net for the sake of casting a wide net. And it really digs into, the profiles, including, the post that, brought that particular contact in, maybe a comment that they left, all of these things ideally to identify both fit and, in an ideal sense, some type of pain point that this particular contact is aware of that you solve. So that's that. And so 3 points: signals, automatically evergreen style, pushing folks to campaigns. Manually, if you want to have your finger on the pulse of all the contacts that are coming in, and just manually creating your own lists and then pushing them into Smartlead, and then finally letting AI agents handle all of the above. So I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions on any of this, please reach out to us.